This is the story of a cult that disappeared overnight. There were no warning signs that they were going to leave. They just vanished and there has been zero trace of them since. It's me and this is Unsolved Mysteries. The year is 1996 and the place is Waco, Texas. For 3 years prior, the members of the Branch Davidians had been living at this compound totally off the grid. They'd chosen this location because it was isolated and had very little phone reception, meaning that the only way in or out was by car, and only if you knew the road well enough not to get lost. If outsiders did manage to find the property, they'd simply be met with a locked gate, a sign reading, "No trespassing." Private road closed and heavy machinery designed to block any further entry. It was almost impossible for anyone to get in or out, and those who lived here were safe from the outside world. Except the Branch Davidians weren't your typical neighborhood watch group. They were a cult led by a man named David Koresh. And while the other residents at the compound did their best to avoid the media, law enforcement, and government officials, Corey wasn't afraid to speak with them. In fact, he seemed to relish the attention. He would give interviews saying things like, "We are not a cult. We are a family." The difference between a cult and a family is that a cult is a closed system. A family is an open system. But while he may have wanted the world to think of him as some kind of father figure, he was really more like a creepy uncle who kept all of his money in a showbox under his mattress. Because despite what he said, the Branch Davidians were very much a cult, and their beliefs centered around the apocalypse. Koresh even claimed to be the new Messiah and told his followers that they were going to need weapons to fight in the war against the forces of Satan. Over time, the authorities grew suspicious of the group and began investigating them. But before we knew it, things took a turn for the worse. On February 28, 1993, a bomb exploded at the compound, killing 4 people. Investigators believe that David Corey set the explosion off himself in order to get back at the government for putting pressure on him. And this was just the beginning. 3 days later, a 5-day standoff ensued, but it ended when Corey allowed food and medical supplies to be brought into the compound. However, on April 1993, things escalated once again. The FBI and ATF surrounded the building because they had reason to believe that Corey had committed murder. But as the day wore on, they realized that they had no idea what was actually happening inside. Shots were fired in 76. People inside the building were killed. And now, after all that, the police searched the premises, but they didn't find any bodies. It seemed as though the people who died had evaporated. And this isn't the last time something strange happened at this compound. Just over a year later, on January 16, 1994, another fire broke out. The police responded quickly and managed to put it out. But when they entered the building, they found that it was empty. Everything was abandoned, but there was no sign of a struggle and nobody was hurt. And then in September of 1995, the town was rocked by another explosion. The local high school football team was preparing for their game when they heard a loud boom. At first, they thought that maybe someone had bombed the school. But when they looked over at the Branch Davidian compound, they saw a big cloud of dust. When the authorities investigated, they found that a small bomb had been detonated in one of the buildings. But other than that, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Then on March 4, 1996, a group of people were walking along the road near the compound when they noticed a truck parked in front of it. The truck was new and well maintained, which was weird because vehicles that drove up that road tended to come out looking like this. They checked the license plate, but it hadn't been reported stolen. So they decided to walk up to the door and knock. But when no one answered, they left. And that was the last time anyone saw those people alive. As far as we know, all 17 of them simply vanished. The investigators combed through the area, but they found no evidence of foul play. They checked missing persons reports, but none of the people who disappeared had been reported missing. And they even went through old footage of the area to see if they could catch a glimpse of the people on camera somewhere. But it was no use. Those people disappeared without a trace. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the cult simply moved elsewhere, but there haven't been any credible sightings of any of them. Others say that they were abducted by aliens, but there is absolutely no proof of this. Some people still live in the area and have firsthand knowledge of what happened, but even they can't agree on what might have happened to the cult. One of the most popular theories is that the cult members all took their own lives. But as the years pass, we grow further and further away from the truth. What do you think happened to them? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you subscribe and come back soon.